running a little bit late.
Okay, let's call to order. Are there any changes to the agenda this morning? Let's take our minutes of September 14th.
I'll move them.
Dave moved them, Amanda seconded. Any discussion about the minutes? Those in favor, Dave?
Aye.
Amanda?
Yes.
I vote aye. We have next on the agenda, we're going to talk about the census count deadline that's been in the news here in the last week. I was hoping to have Mike Kaplinkalair, I don't see him yet, Katrina was saying that apparently his census email is no longer valid. So we don't know exactly what's happening there, but he should know about the meeting. So we'll come back on that. So let's just go to our regular updates and reports. Let's start with the Public Information Advisory Board. Patty, Dominic?
Dominic, do you want to say anything? I was hoping Michael Kaplinkalair would be on this. Essentially, we discussed, we got updates from him. So that's about it. Dominic, do you have anything to add?
Yep, I can add. I also have a 9:15 call that I will need to step off for, so I'll give any other further updates in my world now. The other thing we discussed was the Census Ad Campaign that we sort of put out from the county. That seemed to have gone quite well on social media and otherwise, and I think that we were pretty present with the same branding across the community, and I think we were able to sort of connect the census well to different services in the community, whether they be mostly government services. I think we did a campaign with images of different government buildings and images of the highway department at work. And I think that was a good, step toward explaining to people the impacts of the census on some of the local things that they see as relevant to their lives. So I would say that, for all intents and purposes, that went well. And I would say that the investment that you all made in advertising for the census I think we used those resources pretty well across the board. So thank you for making that investment. And I think there are still I've seen some bus ads as recently as in September. So I think they ran even a little bit long, as I know they sort of rotate those around. Beyond that, I don't think the PIAB dove into too much other census that Mike Kaplinkalair wouldn't have. But Patty, correct me if I'm wrong, or feel free to add in whatever else from our meeting.
Could you repeat that, Dominic? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, any other PIAB updates that you thought were relevant?
No, not in terms of the census. You're right. And some of us had put out some yard signs, lawn signs. So I hope people are seeing that, something to the effect it's not too late. So, but other than that, I guess with this new court order, I'm not sure if Michael will get his job back or what's going to happen. So I guess, if we have another month, that would be great. So, but.
We were kind of hoping he might tell us what was going on with his job today.
Yeah.
He may show up later. He generally joins us by phone. Dominic, I wondered, do we have any way of tracking on our social media posts how many people look at those? Or I know like websites can count, but is there any way of knowing?
Yep, we can. I actually, throughout COVID-19, we've been tracking everything for the county and the health department. So I can pull, I can try to do it in the background real quick here as the next person's talking and maybe add it into the chat. But we track how many per week, how many impressions we get across the community. And it is often in the thousands or tens of thousands and sometimes higher depending. And then certainly when we run advertisements alongside it, those increase as well. So I can pull that, but I do have a running spreadsheet of that every week.
That's good. And certainly as we close out this committee sometime, it would be nice to have those figures to keep for one of the most useful things we had when we started this committee last year was to review the minutes from the previous complete count committee 10 years ago. That gave us a lot of heads up on what organizations were active and to be talking to, and what kinds of things worked and didn't work. So any of that information that anyone wants to submit, and we can add it to our minutes as a report, would be gratefully received. All right, why don't we go to our college reps, Doreen or Kate? Who wants to start?
I'm happy to start. I don't have really any new report other than to say again that we submitted our counts. Cornell submitted its counts to 2 different census offices. One was a geography office that took or a geographer who took in the data for our off-campus students. And then through the group quarters count, we submitted our on-campus data. Both were complete counts, but off-campus, it was largely name and date of birth because we didn't have the off-campus addresses. So I know that's continued to be difficult for the enumerators who don't know which addresses are reported on. There's also been some ongoing confusion with folks trying to count buildings that were included in group quarters. So we answer inquiries when we can and say how many people lived in it. And yes, it's campus housing. So mostly not much to add other than we now have on-campus off-campus addresses for all our students. And I hope that will stay in place so that in a mere 10 years, we'll be able to have that information. So anyone have questions for me?
Questions for Kate on that? I'd like to mention that Glenn has joined us too, Glenn Moore. Doreen, I love your background this morning, really fall looking.
It's a picture of Cortland in the fall. Sorry to be representing the neighboring town, but that's where I live, so.
Well, I like Cortland.
Good reasons.
I'm as close to Cortland as I am to Ithaca and Dryden, you know.
Yeah, it's a little more affordable, no offense. So Ithaca is still working on reporting on our off-campus students. Our dilemma is that our registrar, one, has been buried with regular work and has had some folks furloughed, so they're on a short staff. And 2, we're not sure that we can pull our data back to April 1. We're not sure that we have a way to use the information system that we have to actually get data from April 1st. So she is reaching out to the geography person who is collecting the off-campus student data to see what we can do about that and if they would like us to report on who's off campus now. So we're trying to get that figured out. And our on-campus students were reported forever and ever ago, you know, pre-COVID, back when the world was normal. So that's where we're at.
Okay, well, we hope that your registrar can work out something with the census folks about that. Questions for Doreen? Go ahead.
That she's working on it, trying to figure something out.
These Monday morning meetings, everyone's kind of, I won't say slow, they're just not quick on the trigger, I'll maybe put it that way. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Kate. Let's talk about agencies. Let's go around the screen. There's Kay Wagner.
Hi. Yeah, I don't think I really have anything to add at this point. We've been spending a lot of time, of course, on get out the vote efforts, and that's where a lot of our energy has been right now, but also continue to just kind of put out messages on the census too, and encouraging people to answer it. Do you know, I have a question though, do you know where the county is now sitting in terms of percentage and numbers?
I haven't heard the latest update today. We were kind of hoping to get that from Mike if he came on this morning. I haven't seen him yet on that. The last figures I had were in the 60% range. But remember, he reported to us last time that those didn't include the figures that were coming in from the census workers who were following up on those residences that hadn't reported. So he was guessing that we were up there with the state level at around the 90% range. That was 4 weeks ago. Anything else, Kay?
No.
Thank you for being here this morning. Let's see who we go to next. Ashley.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, how are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. I don't have much new information to share regarding outreach and our efforts here at TCA. We continue to post online with our food pantry orders and things of that nature. I was actually trying to get the self-response rate to share with you for Tompkins County. I'm able to see that it looks like we're at 66.3 maybe for as far as the self-response rate. But on the website this morning for the census website, I was able to see that New York is at a 99% count rate, which is really good. But there's still 1% that need to reply.
That's helpful, Ashley, and we really appreciate the community actions, continued efforts there. They're helping us with a real hard to reach population, so that's good.
Yeah, we're glad to help.
Questions for Ashley? Teresa.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so we still have our census stations out. I wanted to know the date. I had heard it was extended. We'll leave them out for now until we hear other. They're not super busy, but they are available for people to take the census. So that's on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We continue to do the social media push. But yeah, I'm really waiting for the date, and we do have signs in our windows, and I think they have continued to put the information in our to-go bags of materials. So I think we did what we could, and it sounds like we have a good response rate, which I'm really happy about. So any questions?
Teresa, what's the status of the library library services now with the COVID? Are you open at all?
So what's our status of service? We have internet access available for 30 minutes a day for the public, and that's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 10 to 1 and 3 to 6 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Saturdays 2 to 5. We also have material pickup, which is either lobby pickup or where they come in through it's now the back door, that's the entrance, and they leave out the front door and they can pick up their materials, place holds on items. We're still also offering like virtual reference where people can either email us or call us. And we are in the midst of planning for browsing, though I don't know the date of when that's going to start, but that'll allow patrons to come in and browse the shelves for materials, which we've been getting a lot of feedback that people want that. They want, of course, I understand, you want to see the books that you're getting. So that is in the works. And we also are in talk of starting proctoring service again, because with virtual learning and remote learning, I think it's going to be really necessary. And that can be kind of just put into our internet service days. So we're making progress and doing it safely, and I feel good about it. So, and I think the rest of the community does as well.
Okay, we thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I see Jennifer Tavares. Morning, Jen.
Hi there. I don't really have anything to report. We've continued to try to support more responses via our direct newsletters and some of our social media. I'm happy to take anything that the county specifically wants us to share or that anyone else wants us to share. But I don't have anything else to update anyone on this morning.
Hearing from any businesses about census-specific matters at all, Jennifer?
No, I would just say, unfortunately, with everything going on, I would assume that this is not the highest thing on people's radars. I mean, I hope everyone themselves has taken it, certainly. I don't know that disseminating information about census within workplaces is probably a top priority with everything going on right now for many folks. I'm sure you realize the extent to which people are just struggling to hold things together right now. So no one has really specifically reached out and asked me questions or asked for any specific information. But again, we've been just keeping it in all of our communications for quite a long time. So, and it's a pretty cut and dry topic, right? I mean, take the census, click the banner ad and take it. We hope everyone has done so. Definitely a little concerning that our rates are so low compared to the state.
Well, all we can do is keep working on that.
Yeah, I would be happy to take any additional graphics or any additional messaging that somebody would like me to help share between now and the end of the month.
Let's see, is Dominic still on? So maybe, did he hear that? Patty, did you hear that?
I don't think he's still on.
Yes. And, when we have anything new, we will definitely extend it to all of you and Jennifer and everybody.
Sure.
So
Thanks.
I think,
yeah, I would think probably Dominic did provide me with something several weeks ago, and that's what we've been sharing. But I think if there's any fresh graphics or anything that could change it up, at least it might stand out more for people. But if you don't have anything handy, I wouldn't, spend the time making new graphics. So anyway, thanks.
Yeah, I think Dominic had a 9:15. I thought I heard him say that. Maybe not.
That's all right. I just didn't realize that's the thing with these Zoom meetings. They kind of go and come and you don't notice them all. If there's
right.
A dozen screens here. Thank you, Patty. We had hoped to have Fred Balfour join us this morning from WRFI. They've been doing a lot of work over the last few months about trying to promote census participation, Fred particularly, and they've done some PSAs. And Fred was going to, I know when he was on this morning, was going to talk about if anyone has any ideas for particular topics on PSAs, he would be glad to look at that and see whether they could be converted into a PSA. WRFI has had several of the people involved with census on to talk about it over the last few months. And so if you got a thought for a PSA, you can give Fred a call at the radio station, WRFI. We should have his email too. We sent him the link this morning. So there's something that you can think about we could do toward the end here. And as I said earlier, we kind of hope to have Mike Kaplinkalair on to find out, one, whether he's still employed for the month of October. All I know is what I read in the paper, as Will Rogers used to say. But based on the reports, the idea of ending the census data gathering as of September 30th was restrained by a federal court order, I think out of a court in California, maybe Santa Monica, and said that they should continue to receive data through the 31st of October. Then apparently some message came out from federal census or Department of Commerce, I don't know exactly what was, talking about wanting all the information in by October 5th. That's today. And the last report I saw was from out of that judge's court saying that she was not happy about that and wanting to know why they were kind of trying to go against her court order. So I think we're still open until the 31st of October. If anybody else has any other information on that, I'd be glad to hear it, but that's what I have. I was on Seneca Street yesterday at a stoplight right next to a TCAT bus. And there was a huge, beautiful census promotion sign there. And I thought that was pretty nice. I see Nick Murphy and Amy Hendricks on our call this morning and wondered if either of them have any information they'd like to share with us this morning.
Hi, Mike. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Amy.
I don't have many updates. I think we're still in limbo. I will say that we heard rumors that the grant was going to be coming out again and people could request additional funds. I did not follow up with those, I will say, just because of the timing once again, but I think we got an email early last week saying, hey, if you want the grant, maybe there's an additional timeline that you could request that again. And we have not written that grant for, I don't know how many times that would be. So that's where we're at. We continue to push it here. Dominic gave you the update of what he's working with PAB on. So we'll continue to do that. And Jennifer, to answer your question, Dominic does have a couple things that he was working on refreshing. And so we'll get that out once it's ready.
Thank you, Amy. I think the state should hand out yo-yos in the next grant program.
Agreed, Mike.
This has been absolutely ridiculous. And thank you for you and Nick, the work you've been trying to do to see if we could qualify for any of that money. Nick, was there anything you'd like to mention?
Sorry. No, I think Amy got it all. I second what you've all said about the grant. It was just a tough process. I tried and tried. You know, the state didn't make it easy with their rules and timelines and all that, but you know, the one nonprofit that we were going to work with in the end just didn't seem prepared to carry out what they said they were going to do. So, you know, hopefully better luck next time, I guess.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions? Well, folks, we've got on the agenda to schedule our next meeting for November 2nd. That should be after finalization. I guess it would be a fairly short wrap-up meeting. Are there particular topics that any of you think we ought to be discussing at the end of this? Well, let's leave it this way. If there are, that you think of things that we ought to put into the final meeting's agenda, please email myself or Katrina, and so that we can talk about that. It probably won't be a long meeting, but we probably ought to have something to close this committee out. You've all been wonderful, and we appreciate every bit of effort that each of you has put forward here, and the committee members this morning, and other legislators. Henry's here this morning. Henry, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I did not.
Okay. Any other committee members have anything this morning? Any other business this morning? Well, I'll take a motion to adjourn then. By Amanda. Seconded by Glenn. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning? Not hearing any opposition. Thank you. We'll see you next month, folks.
Thank you, Mike, for being our fearless leader.
You're welcome.